UCLA is a university with unlimited possibilities for students that desire world-class academics and research, unmatched diversity, incredible cultural and social opportunities, successful alumni and career networking, first-class campus facilities, plus America's top intercollegiate sports teams. Located in Westwood, just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, UCLA's 1 square mile campus is surrounded by famous cities such as Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Santa Monica.
Welcome to UCLA Bruin Talk. I'm Ralph Irvin, along with Javrina Sefrai. This week we are talking skulls and diamonds. What? Yeah, we're talking rowing with assistant coach Mark Hunter, and then we'll be talking softball with head coach Inouye-Perez and one of her players.
UCLA is having a lot of exciting events. Let's take a look.
Mark Hunter is in his first season as an assistant coach under Amy Fuller-Kearney here at UCLA, and he's also a little bit of a competitor himself. He won a gold medal in the most recent Olympics in Beijing in the men's double scull. Mark, thanks for joining us.
No problem at all. Thank you for inviting me on.
Let's start off going back to the Olympics. Might as well get that exciting part out of the way. How was that experience for you?
It was a great experience. Obviously, winning's always what an athlete sets out to do in the beginning of his career, and to actually accomplish that was a big thing. Obviously, prior to that, I had a competition in Athens where we didn't do so well. So to come back from coming last in Athens and then coming to win in Beijing was a great journey, and it's one I'd like to share with everybody when I go and do my talk. So it's been very emotional to actually complete it with a win, but also absolutely amazing.
I would imagine that after working and working towards earning a gold medal, once you did earn, it's nice to maybe step away and really focus on something totally different like coaching.
Yeah, I've always done a bit of part-time coaching on the outside of training full-time, just to give me something else to do rather than just training, and obviously trying to, pass on my knowledge to the future. But to come on board and be a full-time coach now has been great because I can actually see the end product of all the hard work that I put in over the fall. And it's a great place to work, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Coach Hunter, do you think you could talk to us about the process of the selection for the Olympics?
With rowing, it's pretty tough. Obviously, in most sports, it's very tough. But with rowing, you have to obviously be the top athletes in your nation to qualify in your boat for your country. And then you go to the World Championships, which are the year before. And the top 10 countries in our event would qualify. We got a bronze medal the year before, so we automatically qualify for the Olympics. And then it's about maintaining your seat in your boat for your country for that prior year, and then going to the games and then doing the job when it matters. So it's very tight, but there is like a kind of wild card regatta, which is in Lucerne, like 6 weeks prior to the games, where there's 2 more slots available, and they're kind of the dying nations trying to duck in at the last moment. So it's very competitive, very tough, but obviously, it's everybody's dream to go and compete at the Olympic Games.
That's something that you can easily, though, pass along to a lot of the student athletes here, is you're talking about working for years to try to qualify for a particular event a couple years down the road. So when the athletes are wondering, well, how does this coach know what I'm going through, you definitely do, and then some, beyond maybe what they even could consider.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, when they start university, it's kind of a 4-year cycle sort of thing, like an Olympic cycle. So if they start sport when they first come here, they've got 4 years to progress to the top, which is exactly like I went through. So I very much understand the things they go through. Sometimes I guess they look at you thinking that you don't understand what they are going through, but I've kind of been there, done my kind of apprenticeship in understanding what it's like to be an athlete, and also being a coach. I can take that experience, and try and fast track them into learn and understand more about the process of trying to get to the top.
Coach Hunter, what are your responsibilities on the team as assistant coach?
My biggest responsibility is looking after the freshmen girls. That's been quite a challenge because we've had a lot of walk-ons come in this season, and there were people that came to university, not known anything about rowing, came along, tried it out in the first couple of weeks. It's been a interesting fall, teaching them how to row from scratch, which is always good and bad, because they've got no idea, and you've got to teach them the kind of technical aspects and get them to understand what they're trying to do and how they're trying to move. But then watching them progress has been really, really enjoyable to watch, and to see them start racing now is even better, because at the start of the year we said there'd only probably be 2 of them making the boat to compete, and we've actually had 7 or 8 of them competing, so it's been absolutely fantastic.
And I would imagine that it's hard to preach being mentally tough and focused when you're talking to someone who doesn't even know what they're doing physically. I mean, you have to start literally at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's been interesting, because some people come in and they're very motivated and like to push themselves to the limit. Like, obviously everybody here is very motivated, but to actually push themselves beyond those pain barriers is very challenging, very difficult. And to actually understand how to get out of your body, it's something you need to learn with your own experience. So I've tried to help some of the girls understand how to push themselves to the limits. Some of them have got there. Some of them are still learning, but all they want to do is win now, and that's a great mentality to have. You want to be the best, and you want to achieve as much as you can. And there's no better way of doing that than winning at the end of the day, to show something for all your hard work.
Right. Coach Hunter, in rowing, coxswains are important in the sense that they steer, they motivate, they are basically the right-hand man of the coach. You, when you were in Beijing, you didn't have a coxswain, you were in a double. What motivated you?
Motivation was, well, to be honest, we went into the Olympic Games. We were unbeaten for that season, so we were favourites going in. So motivation was to put right what went wrong in Athens, but also to prove all the kind of doubters wrong, that we could go unbeaten for a whole season. We were the only crew in the world to do that, which was quite a feat to actually achieve that at the end of the day, because many people went there as favourites and fell at the last hurdle, where we were actually able to push on through and make it happen. So adding that experience to them and letting them understand it, so they can take that with them is it's a great part of what I think I can give as a coach.
I would imagine that made quite a transition. Here you are working with one partner essentially for a goal. Then you come to UCLA, where it's a massive roster and there are a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and wrapping your arms around that, totally different experience.
Yeah, it's been a big challenge, obviously, because I used to have a coach that used to do all the kind of nitty-gritty stuff behind the scenes, making sure everything was kind of right and everything was set up, and that's the sort of thing I've had to take on board now, which is great. But then obviously working with such a huge squad of athletes, you've got to cater for different personalities, and that's a big thing I've had to come to terms with, because working with just one other individual in my boat was very simple. We were very determined individuals, and that we wanted, and we had a plan, and we set out and we completed it. But to get everybody to buy into the same kind of program now and the same sort of ambition and drive, it's been a great challenge, but I think we're getting there.
Who do you guys think is going to be your biggest competitor at Pac-10s this year?
There are some big schools out there. From the weekend, I thought Stanford looked pretty impressive. The stuff they were putting on the water, showing on the water, was very good. Obviously, Cal's very competitive, but I think our girls, can live up to the challenge, and we're still a developing program, which is great to be part of, because we're always looking for new ways to improve and move on. And it's about the belief in the squad. They've got to believe they can do it. We can tell them that they can, but if they don't actually believe it, then they're never going to achieve it. So that's something we've really worked hard on this year, to keep it fun, keep it a lot of enjoyment, and also the belief behind the scenes that they can accomplish what they set out to do.
And it gives you the one motivating tool as an up-and-coming program, and that is that no one really expects much. You can play a disrespect card, if you will, and really try to motivate the team, saying, if you don't think that you're worthy of attention, then I guess you won't get any, but you're going to have to go out and earn it.
That's a big thing. That's kind of where I was like 6 years ago. Like, people didn't believe now we'd be sitting here as Olympic champions, and that's why I look at the program now, is it's developing. People might see us as underdogs, but trying to put the belief in the freshmen that they're not underdogs. They're going to go out there and they want to be the kind of lead boat, which is great excitement for them, because it's going from being nothing to jumped into the limelight. Hopefully, it'll be great for them to experience. But I'm confident that the program will keep developing, and in the future years there'll be some good stuff happening.
Well, and at that age, coming into college, around 18, when you were 18, you were experienced. You'd been rowing, you'd been competing, and it's a totally different mindset here in terms of being that age and having to grasp a totally new skill.
Exactly, and also with the kind of actually studying and trying to fit everything in, is I've taken my hat off to these people at university who managed to do sport and study and other activities. It's a lot of stuff that fit in the day, but they do a fantastic job, and I think it will set them up for when they do finish university as well. But yeah, I had many years of experience of racing and competing, understood what it was about, where they're learning something on the side of kind of their studies as well. So it must be pretty mentally tough every day going there trying something new. But they're doing really well, and it's pleasing to watch.
Rowing is typically not a high school sport, and we know Coach Fuller, the head coach of the rowing team, actually walked on in college. You started when you were 14. Can you tell us about why rowing? How did you become involved in it?
As a kid, I loved doing sport, and at school I never saw myself academically as the gifted one. I was always kind of in the middle of the pack, and sport was a way of me kind of shining out from everybody else. And I couldn't do it in soccer. I tried. It was too competitive. Like in the UK, soccer's massive, and there's so many talented individuals at a young age that it's very difficult to kind of shine out. And then I tried swimming, karate, all different things, and then rowing was a sport I kind of was introduced to by my father. I didn't like it. I tried it when I was like 11. I hated it. I tried it again when I was 14 and just fell in love with it. Just the competitive spirit of going out there, being in a single, which is where you're on your own racing, and beating people I enjoyed. And then when I actually started rowing at 14 was when I first watched the Olympics in '92. And I saw two brothers, Johnny and Greg Schull, go and win a gold medal. And their kind of excitement and the kind of emotion they went through on the medal podium made me want to go on that journey. And just sound that medal podium and listen to that national anthem, there is nothing better than that. So that was what inspired me to want to go on that path. And I stuck with it even through the dark times, and got there eventually.
Now, have you been involved at all in some of the recruiting process?
Not this. Well, I've kind of, when our recruits come onto campus and go to functions here, yeah, but because it's my first year here, I haven't actually gone outside and done that part. But
I would imagine it's just totally different, like we've talked about. You were rowing at 11, didn't like it, but you'd at least done it.
Yeah.
Here, 17-year-olds that you're thinking about having come in as athletes, and they've never done the sport.
Well, it's quite interesting when you meet these individuals, like they're young and they're not really sure what path they want to go on, and just a few words of inspiration can just change that path very quickly.
How's the team met expectations so far this year?
It's going okay. We've had quite a few injuries, which has really hit hard in the middle section of the boats. But the varsity 8's doing very well. They're very competitive. And the freshmen are always improving, trying to make the next leap into the boats above. But hopefully things will take a turn. We get some athletes back. But it's hard times at the moment. We're trying to get people back.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank Mark Hunter for joining us. And coming up, we're going to go to the Diamonds of Easton Stadium as we're joined by Kelly Inouye-Perez and Kaila Schull right here on UCLA Bruin Talk.
After these public service announcements.
A trophy can be made just about anywhere. But there's one place where champions are made. UCLA, champions meet here.
Welcome back to UCLA Bruin Talk. Before we get into the softball talk, Javrina has our Athlete of the Week.
This week, we honor Amit Inbar as our Student Athlete of the Week. Amit of UCLA men's tennis team defeated Stanford's Greg Hirschman to contribute to the biggest win of the season, upsetting fourth-ranked Stanford 4-3 in a crucial Pac-10 matchup at Top Tennis Stadium. With the win, the Bruins avenge a 4-3 loss to the Cardinal earlier this season at LATC. Amit also contributed to a Bay Area sweep with a doubles victory with fellow teammate Harold Sarugo, who stayed close to Cal before they claimed the final 2 games of the match to win 8-6, getting a victory over Cal at the Hellman Tennis Center in Berkeley. With the win, UCLA improves to a 12-4 overall and a 2-0 in the Pac-10. Congratulations and good luck to Amit and the rest of the team. If you would like additional information on UCLA athletics, you can call our fan phone line at 310-825-8575, or you can visit us on our website, www.uclabruins.com.
And we're here to talk softball today, and we're joined by Kelly Inouye-Perez, who's in her 3rd season as the head softball coach, but her 21st year associated with UCLA softball, both as a player and as an assistant coach. She won 3 titles, her first 3 years playing as a player and then 3 as an assistant. We're also joined by Kaila Schull, a junior from Lodi, California. She was a high school All-American. Now she's mainly a catcher, does some playing in the outfield as well. She has been a starter since her freshman year and currently leads the team as the #1 hitter. Kaila, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So first off, I want to talk about, Kelly, coming into UCLA. You're in your 3rd year as the head coach. Your predecessors, Sharon Backus and then Sue Enquist, were also coaches of yours.
Absolutely.
So there's a tradition to follow. That's pressure one. But then the other pressure is the fact that you played for these women. So there's probably even more pressure that you feel, not just to win, not just to compete, but really to live up to the standards.
Well, you know, people could say that, and I look at it just the opposite. I feel like I am the most fortunate Bruin in the history of the program. To be able to be the 3rd coach in this historic program is an honor. You know, I feel like I do have the best job in the world. I get to come to work every day in something that is very familiar to me. I didn't have to change a whole lot. The foundation was solid. So for me, I've been able to live it as a student athlete, continue to maintain it as an assistant, and I really enjoy continuing to lead this, and I look forward to the future of this program as a head coach.
And going back to when you were a freshman, we were discussing this before we went to the air. It's a totally different scenario up at Easton Stadium than it was when you were a freshman, where it was simply a softball field. Now it is really a top flight facility.
Oh, you know, I credit, you know, Sharon Backus had the vision. You know, I saw the blueprints on my recruiting trip in my freshman year of what was to come, and never got to play in it, but from where we started, from having, you know, no bleachers, not even a fence surrounding it, so anyone could come up to the field and enjoy working out at the field, having the scoreboard on the inside of the left field fence, no clubhouse. We got our bags at the end of the day and we threw them into this big green metal shed. That was our locker room, and you know, had no problems with it whatsoever. Just really enjoyed being a part. But to see where we've come with Sharon creating the vision and Sue doing a great job of maintaining and just decorating and continuing to push the stadium so that we can be something to be proud of. So currently, that is one of the things that coaches passed on to me. Now it's your job to continue to maintain it. Right. And it's really fun. You know, you have to get out there and fundraise. I'm always looking for people that want to continue to maintain this wonderful tradition of excellence, and we have wonderful support.
And it's a great program that has a lot of followers because of the success over the years.
Absolutely. I think the most exciting, the most colorful part of our stadium are our championship banners that surround the outfield fence. Nobody can, first and foremost, we're the winningest program in the history of the sport, but you don't see conference titles or you don't see, you know, appearances at postseason. You simply see our championship banners literally along the outfield fence with a Bruin that truly represented that moment in time during that championship year. And it is when you come into the stadium, it is just a sight to see. I love coming up and seeing those banners every day.
Kaila, you're actually the starting catcher, and you also do some work in the outfield. Which position do you prefer?
Definitely catching. I've been catching since I was about 12 years old. So that's what I grew up with, and that was what I played. So just being able to develop that and learn every day. So definitely catching.
Well, and you're playing for a coach that knows a little about catching, played as a catcher at UCLA, has coached one of the best catchers ever in Stacy Newman. I would imagine that it's a different experience for you than any other time playing softball, where you're playing with someone who's so experienced in your position.
Yeah, it's a lot different, but in a good way. Growing up, you have the different travel ball coaches and stuff that don't give a lot of time to focusing on teaching how to catch and what things that you need to know, just basic fundamental skills of blocking, framing, how to communicate with your pitchers. So coming in, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first because it's so much to learn, but it's great. And knowing that she knows what she's talking about makes it that much easier to follow her. So.
Well, and I would imagine that coming in as a freshman, she immediately threw a couple of things at you, and you're like, yeah, right, sure, this is never going to work. And you get into that first game, and you apply it. Maybe it's framing a pitch, something like that, and it's like you get the strike call, and it's like, wow, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's different in that you learn different techniques that you've never been taught before, and it's kind of been our theme, but getting out of your comfort zone. Because you grow up doing it a certain way and that's what's comfortable, and then you're like, okay, no, I want you to do this. So just forcing yourself to, okay, I'm going to try it out and really give it a shot, even though I don't like it. So,
right.
But have learned a few things, and it's worth it.
Coach, you've had the unique experience to see the softball field in 3 aspects, from player to assistant coach to coach. What experience from the 3 have you sort of loved the most?
Easy. The philosophy of the program is family comes first, and then school, and then softball. And that's what I enjoy about this more than anything, is the relationships. At my teammates that I've played with as an assistant, some of the relationships that I've been able to reach some of these student athletes, and as a head coach, maintaining that. That is the best part of the job. Are the people. We're fortunate that we were able to recruit such wonderful student athletes. They have to have it all. They have to have the ability to compete in the classroom with the best of the best, on the field with the best of the best, with the expectations of maintaining this wonderful tradition. That can be daunting. But in the same breath, we look at it as just the opposite. It's a wonderful opportunity to be a part of something that's just really special. And I seriously, I can't pick just one moment. I just have been fortunate to live in this wonderful, we call it the Bruin bubble, for 21 years. And all of it is just, it's a joy to be a part of because of the people that are in the program.
Well, and I would imagine that, as you mentioned earlier, the pressure's gone when you're so happy just being in the environment. It's not like you're going to face anything that you haven't seen as a player or an assistant.
Yeah.
But it's all on your shoulders, but if you love what you're doing, you don't necessarily feel it.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. That's what I learned from Coach Backus and Coach Enquist, is there'll always be pressure. There's always going to be an expectation. The target will always be on our back, and we want it that way. The day they stop talking about the expectations of the Bruins will be a bad day. But in the same breath, it can't overwhelm you. It can't get to the point where that is your true focus, because you won't love the job. It will become outcome oriented, and I'm trying to teach the girls just the opposite. You have control over 2 things: how hard you try, your effort, and have a positive attitude. And that's all we do have control over on the field, off the field, in this world. If you go about it that way, we say, give hard work, and the game will pay you back. Well, and that's kind of our little philosophy that we live by every day.
Now, in that vein, last year finished second in the Pac-10, and then made an early exit from the College World Series. My question was going to be, and I've already now know the answer, do you still feel a sting from it?
Oh, absolutely. I think any time, our expectation is to win every year. And with that expectation comes the basics of the game. You've got to be able to execute. So we got to that stage. They had a wonderful year last year. We just did great things. We had a chance to win the Pac-10 and let that slip away. But truly had put the program in a position back to where it should be, back at the College World Series, which we hadn't done the year before. So we weren't done celebrating. When we left that World Series, definitely there was a feeling in our gut that we had unfinished business.
Right.
So the next day started our momentum back to this next year and every year. And I love that. I love that it's never good enough until we win the whole thing. That's our expectation, and that's why we work so hard every day to be able to attain that goal.
Coach, what are you doing differently this season to really, prevent a sting from, last year?
Well, I think the most valuable thing that you can learn from any experience is exactly that. What exactly is it that we need to do? And you can go all over the map of everyone's opinion of what they think we should have done, but it really comes back to just the fundamentals of the game. We didn't execute. We did not have solid defense. We didn't have timely hitting, and we didn't have dominating pitching. You can't win a championship with that. So every day, it's very simple. You go to practice with a plan. How are you going to get 1% better? That's it. And you put yourself in a position to be able to succeed. Nobody has control over that, but that's a big part of it. Another little thing that we've added this year is Lisa Fernandez has been added back to my staff because last year she was with the Olympic team.
Right.
And Natasha Watley and Lisa Fernandez both were added back to my staff,
Okay.
which is huge. It is huge. It allows me to be more of a head coach instead of being a part of every part of the game.
Right.
And Lisa has come in, and Natasha, and they've done wonderful things. Our offense is better this year, straight up. We're more experienced, we're stronger, and Lisa is heading up the offense, and we're just better than we were last year.
Kaila, as a junior, you're just about as experienced a player as there is because there's only one senior on the roster. So I would imagine then leadership really comes into play with the incoming freshmen, the younger players, to get them back up to the levels that coach expects.
Yeah, definitely it does, but not only just from class-wise, also as a catching position, you're expected to lead out on the field. But one thing, too, that I know we take pride in our program is that once you come in as a freshman, when you're on the field, you're not a freshman. Everyone's equal. You're out there to play the game.
Coach, who do you see as your biggest competitors this year?
Ourselves. I think the Pac-10 is always strong, and we enjoy that. We look forward to every opponent in the Pac-10. I can't name just one. The Pac-10 is strong, and this is a real powerful time of the year for us because you really learn a lot about us. I have broken down the whole season into segments, and we spelled out the word Bruins. So in the fall is B. We build our foundation. Over Christmas break, we respect the program, the R. When we get started in the preseason, it's the unity phase. So you really find out who we are. We come together and we just start playing. We're starting Pac-10, and it's time to ignite. We now know who we are. Now it's time for us to really go for it. And that's a big part of first round of Pac-10. Second round of Pac-10, you have an idea of where you are, so the object is never to let up in second, because everyone wants to just get to postseason at that point, but never let up. And then the last part is the success. If you pull all that together, then that's postseason, and that's the fun part. So that's with that, I look forward to this segment of where we are because it's just part of the story in our whole year. And any opponent that steps in the other dugout, we say bring it on.
Well, Kaila, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
I want to thank Kaila Schull as well as Kelly Inouye-Perez for joining us, along with Mark Hunter from the rowing team. And we hope you join us next time as we take you inside UCLA Athletics right here in UCLA Bruin Talk.
Thanks and take care.